The Batman was a show that started in 2004 and ran all the way to 2008, 5 seasons, but it also had an animated movie that came out in 2005 where the Batman, in his early years, when he was still an urban legend, faced off against another urban legend, a monster, the Vampire King, Dracula, or Alucard. And Dracula was designed in a way that made him look like Ra's al Ghul. He was basically the Ra's al Ghul of this universe, but as you guys remember, they couldn't use Ra's al Ghul at the time because of the bad embargo, so instead we got Dracula. It's an awesome movie. It did incredibly well. We saw Penguin involved, we saw Joker turn into a vampire, we saw an epic final showdown between the Dark Knight, the Caped Crusader, and the Vampire King. Bro, I enjoyed the heck out of this movie, and my reaction is on this channel if you want to check it out. I reacted to it like almost 2 years ago, but yeah, the movie's great, and DC saw the success, and obviously they were like, wow, we can make another animated movie in this universe. So they planned on releasing the sequel to the Batman vs. Dracula in 2007. In this sequel, the Batman would go up against another monster. That's what WB was trying to go for. And this movie was intended to be released right before the 5th and final season of the show, which the 5th and final season of the Batman aired from 2007 to 2008. The show ended 2008. So to have an animated movie come out in 2007, right before that final season, would be great, right? But one of the creators of the show, Jeff Matsuda, decided that he didn't really want the Batman versus monster trope to continue. Like, that's what WB wanted, but instead Jeff Matsuda had a different idea for this sequel. The Batman would face off against his childhood friend, Bruce Wayne's childhood friend, Hush. Jeff Matsuda was friends with the writer of the iconic story in the early 2000s, Batman Hush. This story ran from issue number 609 to 619 from 2002 to 2003, and we saw Batman face off against his entire rogues gallery basically, and Hush, who was revealed to be Tommy Elliott, his childhood friend, was behind it all. And Catwoman was also in the forefront of the story. We saw Batman and Catwoman really develop their relationship. We also saw Superman get mind controlled by Poison Ivy. There's so many epic parts in the story, but the writer of this story, Jeff Loeb, he was close friends with Jeff Matsuda, and they were planning to team up to create the sequel to the Batman vs. Dracula, this time the Batman vs. Hush. It would come out in 2007, and we would have Catwoman, Penguin, Joker, Clayface. Yeah guys, Ethan Bennett's Clayface would be in the movie. That would have been really interesting, and honestly, sounds like a great idea, because guys, it sounds like they weren't really going exactly by the Hush story, which Batman Hush, I know it's an iconic story, but in my opinion, it's not one of the best of all time. It's a good story. The artwork by Jim Lee is amazing, and seeing the whole rogues gallery and the issue with Superman is so awesome. And Hush as a villain is pretty good, but he's not like the best villain. I feel like he's more carried by the circumstances of the story than his compelling nature of a character, if that makes sense. A lot of times you have Batman face off against a villain, and the villain carries the story, but this time I feel like the story was carried by the rogues gallery, and Hush was more just, in the background, and he was being carried by the rogues gallery. Like, they gave him a big introduction, but still, Hush, a cool character that you could do a lot with. And I would honestly like to see what the Batman 2004 animated crew would do with his character, especially seeing this Batman interact with the Catwoman of this universe in a more close relationship, and to see Clayface involved, to see Joker and Penguin in the forefront again, just like in the Batman vs. Dracula. All that sounds awesome, and I think it would be a really cool movie, but WB canceled it. They canceled it because it was not a Batman versus monster movie. That's their only reasoning. Kinda a dumb reasoning. But let's think from the WB executives' point of view. They decide that it would be better for kids if, okay, the kids really like the Batman vs. Dracula, the more kind of dark tone, honestly, and Batman vs. monster vibe. So let's do that again. And also, sounds like they didn't really care about the idea of having Hush in the forefront. Now, they would end up doing a Batman Hush adaptation animated movie in later years in 2019 in the DC animated movie universe. Now, they didn't go exactly by the story, but I personally actually liked what they did with having, spoiler alert, If you guys haven't seen that movie, wait just a second. Alright, I'm telling you guys, when they had Riddler be revealed as Hush, I thought that was pretty interesting. Because, yeah, Tommy Elliott is cool, but Hush, he's one of those characters I feel like you could change a little bit and do some interesting things. I feel like that movie did that. But as that movie was pretty cool, I know it was controversial. I personally liked it, a lot of people did not. But they did some cool things in that movie, but it'd be cool to see what they would do in a Hush movie set in the Batman 2004 animated universe. But what would I have done? If I was Jeff Matsuda and I got declined, there was not going to be a Batman versus Hush movie, but now I was thinking, okay, could I still make a sequel? Obviously they didn't. Me, I would have made a sequel. And what would I have done to keep the whole the Batman versus monster vibe? Well, we already had Dracula, we could have Frankenstein, or we could have the Wolfman, which that would be kind of typical, and me personally, I don't really want to see that, like as a whole animated movie, I don't really care. But what they could have done is, guys, think about it. It was 2006 when they were thinking about this, and maybe it was too late, because in 2006 we had a 6-issue miniseries written by Matt Wagner that was called Batman and the Monster Men. And you had Hugo Strange as the main villain, and the Monster Men were the monsters that Batman was fighting. It fits that whole Batman versus monster vibe. Like imagine the Batman versus Dracula, and then the Batman versus the Monster Men. That's perfect. And Hugo Strange was already established at this point in the Batman universe in Season 2, especially in Season 3. And in Season 4, you had an episode where Hugo Strange made Gotham City a zombie land. Well, it was all in Batman's mind. But yeah, that was an awesome episode. So there's so much potential with this version of Hugo Strange. And I know he returns in Season 5 of the Batman in the final 2 episodes, but it'd be cool to have a whole animated movie with him as the overarching villain kinda, but the Monster Men are really in the forefront. And that would fit WB's requirements for a monster type movie, and I think it would have been pretty interesting. But probably what happened was Matt Wagner's 6-issue miniseries came out too late, and they already decided that, nah, we're not doing a sequel. We're just gonna end the show with a strong final season. But yeah, guys, overall, I thought this was really interesting. Definitely deserved a video. You guys tell me down below, what do you think about the canceled sequel to the Batman vs. Dracula? Would you have liked to see a Batman vs. Hush movie set in this universe? Would you have liked to see a Batman vs. the Monster Men movie set in this universe? Or do you have another idea for a sequel? Tell me down below. And also, for some extra content, guys, check out my reaction on the website, dcenthusiast.com. Link in the description, my reaction to episode 8 through 10 of the final season of the Batman. We're nearing the end of this awesome show. Guys, episode 8 through 10 is pretty interesting. We got a Joker episode that is crazy. We got a terrible trio episode, and we got the end of the Batman. You gotta check it out. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate all you guys, DC Nation, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.